streets of Brooklyn, where stories grow wild to the glow of the stage where the dream meets the child. A quiet flame, a hidden spark, drawn to the words that lit up the dark. Curtains rose, and so did he, finding power in poetry. One voice, one mic, one sacred truth. Every word he spoke uncaged the youth. He saw the world try to silence the bold, but his soul was wired to break the mold. Now he walks in purpose, pure and true. He was born to...
And we are here. Welcome to Born to Speak to You TV. I'm your host, Calvin Gibbs, and man, we got a great show for you today. This episode is called Leadership with Heart, Strength, and Service. And my guest today, well, I'm not going to even tell you who my guest is, but I want to ask you all a question first. What does it take to lead with strength when life tests your resolve? In this episode, I'm going to be joined by my special guest. She's a corporate executive and leadership coach, an elected official, entrepreneur, and breast cancer survivor whose life demonstrates that true leadership begins in the heart. So we're going to explore how faith, resilience, service, all of that, and purpose have shaped her remarkable journey from the boardroom to the community. And for you, if you have ever wondered about your heart, your strength, your service, your survival, you're not going to want to miss this. We'll be right back in 60 seconds. This is Born to Speak to You TV. Welcome to Born to Speak to You TV, where we're speaking life into the moments that matter. This isn't just a show. It's a movement. It's a space where stories are honored, voices are lifted, and truth has a mic. Each episode, we dive into powerful conversations on identity, on equity, growth, healing, leadership, and the courage that it takes to speak up in a world that often wants us to keep quiet. Whether it's through personal testimony, community impact, or artistic expression, Born to Speak to You is where voices rise and change begin. Our mission is simple: to empower people to use their voice, own their truth, and build bridges of communication and understanding. So, sit back or lean in, because you're about to witness what happens when passion meets purpose. This is Born to Speak to You TV. Let's speak life. All right, we are back. This is Born to Speak to You TV. And my guest today, I'm going to tell you a little bit about her, a little bit more about her. I've already told you she's an accomplished executive leadership coach, entrepreneur, public servant, and breast cancer survivor. But when you first meet Dr. Linda Jordon, you immediately feel her presence. It's rooted in wisdom, it's wrapped in resilience, it's driven by purpose. She's not just a leadership coach, she's a legacy builder, a real estate investor, and now the first Black, and I should say the first Black female mayor of Butner, North Carolina. We shared the stage just a few months ago. She was on the stage with me as one of the distinguished royalty speakers during an event we had in June, where she inspired audiences with her passion for leadership and service. And today she joins us to share lessons on resilience, purpose, and leading with heart. Please welcome Dr. Linda Joyner. Dr. Linda Jordon. Welcome to Born to Speak to You TV.
Hello, Calvin. How are you? No worries.
I am so happy and nervous to have you here. You're like the first of the royalty speakers that I've had on. So this is like having family on, you know. So,
oh, yes.
So thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
I did a little deep dive on you. I found so much about you that I can't wait to ask you some questions. And yeah, so let's just have some fun and a great conversation. I
Sure.
usually I usually say let's jump into the deep end because that's where the party's at. So let's go. First, I want to talk about your leadership journey.
hmm
And if you could just tell us a little bit about your journey and what inspired you first to become a leader.
So my leadership journey began, actually, gosh, probably when I was a little girl, um, singing in church. I'm a country girl from Virginia, and so our parents always taught us about being that leader. Don't wait for someone else, so you always step forward. And so my first, as I shared at the Royalty Speaks, my first leadership journey started in selling shoes because I wanted to buy my parents a Christmas present. So I became a door to door shoe salesperson. And then I carried those learnings into corporate America, where I worked for a Fortune 500 pharmaceutical company for almost 30 years. And I've always enjoyed the aspect of helping others learn, but also being a part of the process at the same time.
Hmm, okay. And who would you say had the greatest influence on your leadership philosophy?
I would say it was my parents,
Hmm,
because growing up on a farm, we didn't have a lot. My parents worked on the farm. They didn't really have public jobs until I left home. And so, oddly enough, I never knew that we were really as classified as being poor people because we were so rich in so many different aspects. And so, learning from them the importance of taking care of your community, taking care of your family, but then also making sure that you have a strong faith. That's what really helped me become the leader that I am today.
hmm. That's great. It's funny about growing up and being classified as, not being rich and, not having everything that you need when you have love around you, you have your support system around you. As you know, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, in the inner city.
Uh-huh.
It was far from a farm, but because of the way my family took care of us, we didn't really feel that we were poor. We
Mm-hmm.
felt maybe because everybody around us was in the same boat we were, but I never felt that until I started, going out and exploring different parts of the city. And I was like, whoa, that's a lot different from where I'm from. And I
Right.
started, and I started to realize the difference in cultures and all.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I want to ask you about leading with heart
Uh-huh.
because I saw that several times in your bio and different websites I found you on. What does leading with heart truly mean to you?
Leading with heart means to me that I always want to make sure that when I am responsible for someone or responsible for their development, responsible for their growth, and they look up to me as that leader, that I am always being my true and my authentic self. And so leading with heart means that just because you're at the top doesn't mean that, you can call all the shots. And most times people do. But leading from the heart means that I bring the people along with me. I make sure that they have a clear understanding of where we're going in this journey of leadership together. Because if you try to lead and you're leading by yourself, that's where you're going to end up by yourself and you won't really have anything. So, leading with your heart is truly making sure that people understand who you are, your true and authentic self. But I must say, it took me a long time to get to that point because when I first started in leadership, I was, not that way at all. I didn't wear my heart on my sleeve. I was, kind of hardcore, kind of stern. But I learned from my team that in order for them to follow me, I had to really break down who I truly was and share that inside of me that I sometimes protected. And so I found that leading with my heart allowed me to lead better and have others that wanted to follow me. And that's truly what it means to me.
Okay, absolutely, absolutely. After we finished on the stage at Royalty Speech that next weekend, I had the opportunity to be on a Toastmasters stage as a keynote speaker, or I should say, educational session leader. And I was talking to some of the leaders that's going to be in the next Toastmasters year. And one thing that came to me, and I was specifically talking to somebody in the audience, they should know who they were, who they are. Um, I mentioned that leader, to be a leader doesn't mean you get to boss people around. You
Right.
know, you may do that as a result of, but you should do it with love.
Hmm.
You should do it with heart. And I love what you just said about uh, getting to getting people to know you and getting them to do things. They'll do it for you because they know you.
Right.
This person that I'm talking about pretty much came to me and said, Calvin, I want you to do da 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 when I'm in charge. And I was like, are you serious, man? That's not that is not the way you get me to do anything.
No, no,
you
no.
know. So let's move to our second category. It's strength through adversity. Strength through adversity. Because I know that you are a breast cancer survivor. Uh, just briefly, how did that experience change your perspective on life?
Oh my gosh, that was just a huge eye opener. It changed my perspective on life. Number one is that life is short. You're
Mm,
not promised for the next day. And so you have to embrace every single moment. And for me, it allowed me to reinvent myself of who I was because, as my husband would always say, I was corporate 120% all the time. And I quickly learned that going through the cancer journey was that I had to go back to being my true and authentic self. I was helping to build someone else's dream, but I wasn't building my own dream. And so that was a pivotal moment for me because I was trying to find myself again because I was so corporate 24/7. And then when I had time to recuperate through the cancer journey, it was just such an eye opener. I missed my staff tremendously, but I didn't miss the work at all.
mhm.
And so that was a hard adjustment because at that moment after my diagnosis and after my recovery, that's when I decided to leave corporate. I was trying to, do like my parents said, find a job after college and work for 30 years, but that was not in the cards for me. And so I had time to really reflect. And at that moment, I realized that it was time for me to step away from the corporate world because my health was most important.
Yeah.
And my team knew that because I shared that with them. And so my goal was to make sure that they would be taken care of. And I needed to just transition on and hand that role off to someone else who, much younger, who could probably do a much better job. But I needed to change where my focus was. And that was really focusing on my health and my family. And then whatever my next phase of life was, which is where I am today,
Okay.
being my own boss.
Indeed, indeed. But and that's part of leadership as well, knowing when to step down, pass the baton on to the next person to carry it forward. That takes a lot of leadership skill, a lot of personal internal inspection, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So as far as faith, how did your faith get you through those difficult moments as well?
Oh, that was faith 100%. 100%. I am a very religious person. I don't go around 24/7 speaking the gospel, but I wake up in the morning, I have my affirmations, and I I I have to pray before I make a decision because I want to make sure that I'm making the right decision of where the Lord wants me to be. And so that's what I did. And so I took my cancer diagnosis as just a diagnosis. It wasn't who it wasn't an identity. And so when I went to the physician and, we're trying to talk about my, surgery and recovery. And I said, well, first of all, I had to pray about it. And then my question to him was, what would you do if this was your wife? What would you tell her to do? And so I did exactly what he said. And, that was doing a double mastectomy with reconstruction all at the same time, because, I'm a planner. I got to have things done. And so I really had to pray about that to make sure that was the right decision. And it was the right decision for me. Would I do it again if that came up? Absolutely. Because my faith is so strong. And I know that the Lord wouldn't put me in a situation that he wouldn't see me out of.
Wow. Wow. As I'm listening to you talk, I'm remembering a conversation I had with a good friend, a childhood friend of mine, who lives in Maryland. I had it with her this morning. I know that she's had a lot of health issues going on. And there's a Bible app, it's called YouVersion, and I read it every day. I mean, sometimes before I get out of bed, I'm reading my verse of the day and going through whatever guided scriptures I have to read and pray on for that day. And I had sent her a friend request through that app a long time ago. I don't even know when it was, but it was still pending. So I called her, hey Teresa, what's up? I know we're still friends, but can we be, Bible app friends too? And she's like, oh, I forgot. And as I'm sitting there talking to her, I see it flash, friends accepted. And it was an opportunity for me to talk to her about some of the things that she's going through. And I've known her, oh man, like for since I was 10 years old.
Oh,
That's when
wow.
that's when I first met her. So, literally, I'm literally over 55 years I've known her. And, I just asked her, could I pray for you? Can I talk to you? Can I do anything to make you feel better? So we had a nice conversation this morning, and it brought me all of this, and talking to you just a few minutes ago, all brought me back to the motto of this show: speak life into the moments that matter.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have moments every single day, Dr. Linda,
Yeah.
and there's negativity all around us, as you know. And it's so easy to buy into that,
Yeah.
But when you have the opportunity to not only speak life into yourself and your situation, but to somebody else, a close friend, a family member,
Mm-hmm.
somebody you even work with, that makes all the difference in the world, I think.
Absolutely. It does. It does.
So we're going to take a break right here. We're going to put a pin in it. We'll be right back in 60 seconds. This is Born to Speak to You TV. And we are back. This is Born to Speak to You TV. I'm Calvin Gibbs. My guest today is Dr. Linda Jordon, and we are talking about leadership with heart, strength, service, and survival. Now, we've already talked about the strength part of it. I do have one more question for you about strength through adversity.
Yeah.
And this is, not only for the viewers out there, but for especially for my friend that I just told you about, and anyone else that's facing a personal battle today, do you have a piece of advice that you would give them?
I would say anyone that is facing any type of adversity, whether it's health or mental, is to number one, have a conversation with someone else because you cannot hold that information in yourself. Because if you hold it too long, you're going to absolutely explode. So you have to share it with someone. When I got my diagnosis, I mean, on my way home, I called my oldest sister. Um, and then I called my husband because he gets a little too excited. But by the time it's a 20-minute drive to get home, but by the time I got home, my and all my siblings were at the house waiting for me. And some traveled 2 hours away. So that's why I say it's so important to share that because had they not been there when I got home to talk about the diagnosis, I don't know what I would have done differently. But just to have them there and to, hear them cheering me on and we all had prayer together and we were talking about my next steps, it was just like, what diagnosis? And oftentimes people are going through something and they don't share it because it could be pride or they're not sure how to share it or they're afraid to share it. And then they end up carrying that with them through whatever they're going through. And that makes it twice as hard. So if you just pick up the phone and call someone or go to your neighbor's house if you feel comfortable in sharing that, or call your pastor or someone who you can trust, a confidant, but just to share the information, to let it out, to talk about it makes such a huge difference in how you heal, how you process whatever that is that you're going through. Because just know that you're not alone. Someone else is going through that, or they have already been through that.
Right.
And so that's the beauty of sharing the information because people can help you along the way. Just a kind word makes a huge difference. And then prayer on top of that, you can move mountains.
All right, speak that life. You don't have to go through the journey you should not go through the journey by yourself. Amen. Amen. Let's move to our next category, which is leadership that serves. Leadership that serves. You've served in both corporate America and public office.
Yes.
How are those leadership roles different?
They're totally different. Totally different. Oddly enough, I started my political career while I was in the corporate space. So I had to flip off different hats based on where I was. In the corporate space, we all know it's just a corporate world, and there's a corporate speak, a corporate dialect, and the way you do certain things. The same is in the political world, but it's even more stringent because you have to be careful of what you say and how you say it, because someone's always watching or analyzing what you said. And I had to reprogram my brain of how to process and translate information, because the way I may say something to a colleague in the corporate world, and they take it a certain way because they know about how I operate and the business operations, I couldn't do that in the political arena, because if I'm talking to a constituent, I have to make sure that I am much more empathetic than I would be in the corporate space, because it's about them. It's about what's happening to them. If there's a policy change in from politics or taxes, that's an impact that hits them a different way. Whereas in the corporate world, if there's a policy change or, being in pharmaceuticals, that it'd be an impact to the consumer, or if there's an operational change, we have to do things differently and people can adjust to that. But when you're talking about policies that relate to someone's home, their property taxes and roads and infrastructure like that, it is so different. And so you have to make sure that you are speaking the right language and that you're empathetic and that you truly understand what that impact is going to be to that citizen, because the impact to them could feel one way versus when you're talking in a corporate world. It's a totally different outcome. I know I
Yep.
said a lot in that, but it's so different.
But that's a very good um, message that you just gave us. I have a keynote that I do on leadership engagement, and I
Hmm.
talk about three tenets of that, which is self engagement, team engagement, and community engagement. And I spoke in front of a group that basically was only concerned with self engagement to a degree. Team
Uh-huh.
engagement was the big thing. And I found a way to open their eyes to community engagement.
Hmm.
That's a big part of the business as well. Getting a community to buy into what you're trying to do for them. Uh,
Right.
Everybody on board, they can visually see you out there doing things for them. They're doing things with you. The community is growing. Um, what would you say? Why is community service such a big part of your life?
It's a big part of my life because my parents were, I'd say, the cornerstone of community service. Growing up on a farm, they helped everybody in the community. So we had all the animals, cows, chickens, and pigs. We had vegetables, we had gardens, um, cotton, tobacco. And so my parents would hire people to work for us because all the children couldn't do everything at the same time because of different age groups. But my father would hire people in the community to help him with the farm. And then, he didn't have money to pay them, but he would pay them through food. So when we would slaughter animals, they would get portions of that. They would get vegetables. And so we carried that with us into the church. And on Sundays, he was a deacon, she was, on the church choir. We were all involved in everything. And so community is just another extension of your family. And that's to me, that's what's so very important. And that's what got me into politics because I wanted to make a change. I wanted to see something different. I wanted to see the community thrive. And I could talk about it all day long. I could go to the meetings, but until I physically got involved, I couldn't really see how it would formulate and what
Mm.
the impact of that would look like at the end. So a lot of times people want to be involved in the community. They want to see change, but they're not ready for the change because it's a heavy load to carry. And I would say, yes, my parents are the reason that I am in the community, being involved, making sure that there's change, and that's change that the community wants, not my own personal change. Because you have to hear and listen carefully to what the citizens want and what their needs are.
Absolutely, absolutely. And also by you being visible in the community when you need to get things done, when you need people to help out. I believe you're more apt to get that help because they know you, they've seen you in the community, they're familiar with you, and more willing to offer that assistance that you may need. Is that correct?
Yes, that's a true statement. Yes.
Okay,
Got to
cool.
get your hands dirty.
Got to get your hands dirty. Yes, indeed. My next question is how can everyday people become leaders without holding a title? Everyday people.
Well, that's a great question. But everyday people, they're already leaders.
Mm,
A lot of people just don't understand what leadership is because they connect it with a title. They connect it with an organization or a business. But we are all children of God, and He has given all of us an assignment to do. And if you take that assignment seriously, then you are the leader of your assignment.
okay.
And so it's up to us to make sure that we are doing exactly what we're supposed to do every day. Be kind to your fellow man, um, help out your neighbor when you need to. But we're all leaders every single day because everything that we do, somebody is watching us. They're paying attention to everything that you do, whether it's your neighbor or if you have children in school, it's the teachers paying attention to what parents come into a parent teacher conference. If you're a sports person and have a coach, that coach is paying attention to who is, giving their all in games. Or if you're working out and you have, a trainer, that trainer's looking to see, are you giving your all every single day that you go in to work out? So everything that you do, you are a leader. You're a leader in your household. How you respond to your children, your family, your spouses, or significant others, you are a leader. And so they look up to you, or they expect certain things from you because you are that leader. And I don't think people really realize that they truly have leadership capability that's already ingrained in us naturally. Now, some people are natural leaders, or that they say natural born leaders. They may not be great at it, but they're still a leader. But it's all in how you treat other people that will help you become a better leader. I'll say that.
Okay. I'm glad you mentioned that, because this is going to make me go back and think about some things in my own life, which might be another episode I'll talk about someday. But I got to figure this out. So thank you for those thoughts, Dr. Linda. We're going to take a break right here. We're going to have a message from our sponsor. This is Born to Speak to You TV. And we are back. This is Born to Speak to You TV. We're talking about leadership with heart, strength, service, and survival, with my guest, Dr. Linda Jordon. Let's go to our next category, Dr. Jordon. We're going to talk about building people. Part of leadership, of course, is building people up. And you mentioned coaching in the last segment. Why is coaching and mentoring so important? Not only coaching, but mentoring, so important.
Yes. So first of all, let me clarify the distinction, because a lot of people sometimes mold them together. Mentoring is really about showing someone what you have gone through and teaching them the ins and outs of your experiences to mentor them through that process. Coaching is really more about listening and understanding where the person wants to go. You're not going to tell them how to get there, but you're going to guide them through that process. And so it's very important that people understand the difference, because sometimes if you're in a conversation with someone, they can cross-pollinate. So I often, if I'm in that middle, I always say, excuse me for a moment, I need to take off my coaching hat and put on my mentoring hat so that I can really help that person understand that. So there is a primary difference between those two, but I think it's important that people have a coach, and it's important that people have a mentor, because again, this journey of leadership, you can't do it alone in silo. So you need someone that you can bounce things off of, or share best practices with, or help them along the way. So both are very important.
Okay. And we know the cultures of a lot of corporate America these days, things they can do, things they cannot do, things they want to do, but maybe scared to do. How can organizations create cultures where people truly thrive?
That's a great question. I'd say in the way that corporate America is today, they really have to take the time to listen to what are some of the needs of their employees is. Today, you have employees who are struggling. Number one, everyone is thinking that, okay, they're ready for that next position, but leaders aren't always taking the time to explain to their teams how to get there, what that process looks like. And so they'll probably want to give them a coach before they take the time to mentor them. And so it's really important that leaders mentor their employees first, because when you have someone that you can mentor, put them under your wing, you're going to gain trust in them. And when you gain trust in them, they're going to want to do more for you. So their productivity levels are going to go up because they trust you and they know that you care about them as a person. When you're coaching, oftentimes leaders are not the coach in the coaching situations. They hire a third party to come into the organization and coach their teams or coach their aspiring leaders. And that's all good. However, oftentimes there could be translations that are lost or misunderstood because some people think, well, okay, you're going to hire a coach for me. That means that I'm not really good at what I do. So they take it from a negative perspective than from a positive perspective. But it's all in how it's presented to the employee. So if you mentor them along the way, then you help them understand when they get to a certain point, yes, you might need a coach because these are things that someone else can help you at better. It doesn't mean you're doing bad. It just means that we want to help you excel. And so that's the downfall of those two words, coaching versus mentoring, because oftentimes employees think, well, I need a coach. That means that I'm not really good at something or I need to improve, not understanding that coaching is to help elevate you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. At our Royalty Speaks event, the panel session, I
Hmm.
told a little bit about a situation I was in corporate America with the manager that just didn't like Calvin for whatever
Yeah.
reason. But it wasn't just me that was going through that with that person. It was several of my coworkers. As a matter of fact, after we had an altercation at, at the job, I was told not to speak to her, and she would not speak to me unless it was business related.
Mm.
She did something to me that was so absurd that I couldn't believe that it happened. You get, when it happens, you're like, did that really happen? And and then it happened again. I was like, oh man, and just blew the top off of it and threatened to go to the news and all that good stuff. And I was asked to give 2 weeks, and during that 2 weeks, I took that time to rile up my coworkers and was like, yo, guys, we got to report everything that's been going on. We got to do it.
Yeah.
If we want this environment to be better, we got to speak up. So we finally found a person higher up the chain that was willing to sit down and listen to us.
Mm.
And over the course of that 2 weeks, it actually was 2.5 weeks because I was counting every day before I pulled the trigger. Um, and then one day, I happened to be in the restroom, which was like in the hall, and I hear all this noise and cheering going on. And I opened up the door to come out, and there she was being let out by security.
Oh my.
And my coworker, remember that scene in The Wizard of Oz when the house lands on the Wicked Witch?
Yeah.
And the munchkins are all happy and singing. It was
Yeah.
like it was like that. I looked over where my coworkers was, and everybody was cheering. I mean, even the people that wasn't in our department that was next to us, they were
Uh-huh.
even cheering.
Oh my.
Yeah, yeah. But the thing is, we finally got that organization to listen.
Mm,
and because they listened, uh, it created a culture where people could thrive. We
yes.
got some different programs going on, and it became a slightly better place to work.
Hmm.
But the thing is, the organization has to be willing to listen
Yes.
and not be afraid of making change.
Yeah.
So,
And that's a critical point, not to be afraid of making change.
yeah,
Because sometimes people, organizations think, well, that's too much change. But it really isn't if you allow the employees to be a part of the change. And
hmm,
they will make it go through just as smooth as anything. But they have to be given the permission to do so. And leadership has to be okay with that change that's happening. It doesn't have to be
absolutely,
approved, it could be something really simple.
absolutely, absolutely. So let's go to our next category of diversity, change, and growth. I know that you've led organizational change. You worked in diversity and inclusion. I
Mhm.
also have done some work in that area. What have these experiences taught you?
That we have a lot of work to do.
Man, amen.
It's interesting. We talk about inclusion, belonging, whatever word you want to use for that, but it's still the same thing. It's just a different flavor of the season. But it's a hard discussion to have because there's so many generations in the workforce today. And so each generation has a different experience of change, a different experience of inclusion, a different experience of diversity and what belonging means to him or her. And so that's really what makes it hard because this is a moving train constantly. And so people find themselves trying to figure out how to talk differently to their colleagues or their customers. And communication is so important. And I think if we just take the time to communicate effectively with others, understand what is being communicated to us, so listen effectively and attentively, I think it would make a huge difference because communication is currency to all of us.
Amen.
And people don't truly understand when they say things to others of how it makes them feel. And so when you make someone feel a certain way, they may feel excluded from that. And so we just have to put all our cards on the table. And as I tell some of my clients, is that, let's just play nice in the sandbox. And how can we start off doing that? Play nice in the sandbox, understand what people are going through, give everyone an equal opportunity to let the voices be heard, an equal opportunity at different opportunities that are available within the organization, whether it's from leadership or training or whatever that may be. And then that helps to create that culture. But it all starts at the top.
Hmm.
It all starts at the top because the body is only going to do what the head is telling it to do. And so if the top is not providing clear structure and guidance when it comes to these topics, the body is going to flounder. It's like a fish out of water. They're just flapping around because they're not sure what to do. So
That's
they've
right.
got to have clear direction, and it has to be consistent direction from all leadership at the top.
Yep. And I would like to add that while things are waiting to come down from the top, those at the bottom need to talk to each other, get
Hmm.
to know each other. And there's a lot of things that is more similar about people than are different.
Different. Yes.
Really, really, really. During the pandemic, some of my neighbors, the guys, we got together in our garages, on the driveway, and
Uh-huh.
we would share beers and would play music. Everybody would play a different song, and then we would talk about that song.
Yeah.
And after a while, after a couple, weeks, we started saying, Calvin, you're not that bad of a guy. Yeah, well, Tom, neither are you. We have a lot of things in common. And that's the way I think things need to start, at least ground level, while we wait for things to come down from the top.
Yep.
keep it moving, get to know each other, and then when it comes down, everything is in place to make big change happens.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, America just celebrated the 250th. And so people come together for things that they feel common is for everyone.
Mhm.
If we can do that on one day, why can't we do that every day?
Exactly, exactly, exactly. What comes to mind for me was the NBA championship last month when the New York Knicks won.
Uh-huh.
Did you see those thousands and thousands of people in the street, all
Yeah.
different colors? Everybody was on one accord. It was so beautiful. I was like, I wish I was home. I wish I could be a part of that. That's
Yes.
what it's about. That's
Right.
what it's about. Forgetting all the racial stuff, all the cultural stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy each other. Enjoy each
Exactly.
other. Yes, indeed. So we need to take a break. I'm enjoying the conversation so much, but we got to take a break. We got to pay the bills. So we'll
All
be
right.
back in 50 seconds. This is
Okay.
Born to Speak to UTV.
Hi, this is Calvin Gibbs with Born to Speak to You TV, and here's your Born to Rise tip for today. You're not stuck. You're just committed to certain patterns of behavior that in the past may have worked for you. But guess what? You've grown past those patterns of behavior. Now they're more harmful than they are helpful. And the reason that you can't move forward is because you keep applying an old formula to a new level in your life. That old formula, that is for where you were, but you've moved on to another level. And it's time to have a new formula, a new solution. So change the formula and get a different result. If you keep doing what you did when you were there, it's not going to work out. You've moved on to another level, change the formula, and step into your purpose. You were born to rise.
From the streets of Brooklyn, where stories grow wild, to the glow of the stage where the dream meets the child. A quiet flame, a hidden spark, drawn to the words that lit up the dark.
We're back. This is Born to Speak to You TV, and we're having a great conversation with my guest, Dr. Linda Jordon. We're talking about leadership with heart, strength, service, and survival. Well, Dr. Linda, we have reached the part that I like to call the legacy and speaking life segment. I just have one question for you here, and that question is, what does speaking life mean to you personally?
Speaking life. I would say, I hadn't thought about that, but speaking life, I would say is, oh goodness. I think every day I speak life
Hmm?
because every day I embrace it as if it were my last day.
Okay.
And so I don't take anything for granted. When I am speaking life to others, I want to make sure that they do the same thing. Don't wait for things to happen to you. You make things happen for you.
For you.
Absolutely. And so a lot of times we wait because of fear, or it's not the right moment, or it's not perfect. And so speak life is more about embracing life, embracing the day, the moment, and doing what it is that you need to do to be successful, to feel good about yourself, and so that you can be able to create generational wealth or create a legacy for yourself or your family. um, yeah, I think that's really what speak life means. That's It's a great one. I hadn't thought about it that way, but that's what I would
Okay.
say.
All right. Thank you for that. When people hear the name Linda Jordan years from now, What do you hope they'll remember?
I want them to remember that I was a person with integrity, with heart, someone who cared about them, but most importantly, a person that listened to them. I am in the process of trying to make sure I create that legacy. And so that's why I'm an author, because I want to make sure that people can still read about me or my experiences when I'm no longer here. I do real estate investing to create generational wealth for my daughter so that when I'm no longer here, she will have something to remember me by and others to remember me by. So I'm always thinking about that next phase of life. I'm such a planner. And so, yeah, I would say that.
Okay. Are you ready to play a little game?
Of course.
All right. This is called 30 seconds to speak life.
Oh,
30
wow.
seconds 30 seconds or less to speak life. This is a lightning round. I
Okay.
want you to I want you to answer with one word or a short phrase. Are
Okay.
you ready?
I'm ready.
Success is.
Oh, gosh.
Ding, ding, ding,
Available
ding. Okay. Okay. Failure taught me.
to continue.
Okay. One daily habit you never skip.
Prayer.
All right. Your favorite leadership book.
My own. Unleash your inner CEO.
Okay. Your biggest motivation.
My daughter.
What brings you peace?
Prayer.
Complete this sentence. Never stop.
Never stop going for what you want.
Okay. And the last one is morning person or night owl?
I am a night owl.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I had you pegged for a morning person.
Well, I am at like 5 in the morning. But
I
yeah.
hear you. I hear you. Well, Dr. Jordan, I want to thank you for being on the show.
Oh, thank
It's
you.
been
It's
a
my
lot of
pleasure.
It's been a lot of fun. Please come back anytime. And I definitely will be in touch since we're Royalty Speaks family. I definitely
Yes.
will be in touch with you. Thank you again. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, Calvin. Again, my pleasure.
And we'll be right back after this short message. This is Born to Speak to You TV. We're back. Man, what a great conversation I just had with Dr. Linda Jordan. Leadership is more than a position, it's a commitment to serving others with integrity, compassion, and courage. In this episode, Dr. Jordan shared her incredible journey through corporate leadership, public service, entrepreneurship, and her personal triumph over breast cancer. Dr. Linda, I want to thank you again for sharing your wisdom, authenticity, and your heart with us. Your story reminds us that our greatest strength often grows from our greatest challenges. And if today's conversation inspired you, encouraged you, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for Born to Speak to You TV on YouTube. That's the QR code on the screen. Please scan it, and you can catch not only this episode, but all past and future episodes of Born to Speak to You TV. I also want to give a special thanks to DFN Broadcast Studios for providing the platform and production that helps bring these powerful conversations to audiences around the world. Until next time, you were born to speak, so make your words count, make your life matter, and as always, speak life into the moments that matter.
Of Brooklyn, where stories grow wild, to the glow of the stage where the dream meets the child. A quiet flame, a hidden spark, drawn to the words that lit up the dark. Curtains rose and so did he, finding power in poetry. One voice, one mic, one sacred truth. Every word he spoke uncaged the youth. He saw the world try to silence the bold, but his soul was wired to break the mold. Now he walks in purpose, pure and true. He was born to speak to you. He's got that rhythm in his truth, that fire in his flow. Speaking life into the moment, watch it grow. Every phrase, every beat,